Hello friends, I hope everyone is fine. In this video, we will talk about the BPH, which is benign prostatic hyperplasia. Let's see what is BPH. First of all, let's write down the name of the disease and then see what it literally means. Benign prostatic hyperplasia. It's a combination of three words. What is benign? Benign is in opposition with the malignant. So this is not dangerous. Benign mean not malignant, not dangerous. Prostatic is related to the prostate. What is prostate will come after talking about the hyperplasia. What is hyperplasia? Hyperplasia is increase in number of cells. Whenever there is increase in number of cells, we call it hyperplasia, and whenever there is increase in number of size of the cell, we call it hypertrophy. So increase in the number of cells, which is not so dangerous, and it happens in prostate. Prostate is a gland. Prostate is a gland and it's only present in the male rather than female. Females do not have prostate glands, and this gland, it secretes fluid which not only give nourishment to the semen or the sperm, but also makes it easier for the sperm to float or to move around. So prostate is a gland which produces fluid which helps the sperm present in the semen to move through the ejaculatory duct and through the urethra. Where is prostate located? If this is, for example, I make the side view of the urinary bladder. Urinary bladder is that organ where urine collects. So if this is the side view of it, and from the urinary bladder we have a duct which carries the urine out of the body, and this is known as the urethra. Now on the lower side of the urinary bladder and encircling the urethra is the prostate, which is a gland. It's a muscular gland. So this one is the prostate. So this is the position of the prostate. So let me write down the names. This is urinary bladder, and after kidneys have made urine, then in the urinary bladder two ureters open from both sides. So this is the side view. And from the urinary bladder there is an exit tube which we call the urethra. Now through this urethra urine comes out of the body. Now just on the lower side of the urinary bladder there is a gland which is a muscular gland. It produces some secretions which help the sperm to float around, and this is known as the gland. It encircles the urethral tubing. So this is the anatomical position of the prostate, and its hyperplasia, which is not very dangerous, will be known as a condition which we call the BPH, or benign prostatic hyperplasia. This condition develops in men who are more than 50 years of age. Increase in size of the prostate is a normal aging process. Increase in size of prostate will be present in almost more than 80% of those people who are more than 80 years of age. So this is a normal aging process, but when it starts developing this in someone who's more than 50 years of age, but there is no specific reason for it. It's an idiopathic phenomena. Etiology is not known why some people do go on to develop benign prostatic hyperplasia. So what are the clinical features, sign and symptoms? Let's talk about the sign and symptoms of the or clinical manifestation of the BPH. Clinical features. Clinical features can be divided into obstructive causes, obstructive symptoms, and irritative symptoms. Talking about the obstructive symptoms, whenever because of increased size of the prostate, this tubing will be compressed. So there will be issue of the hesitancy. What is hesitancy? Hesitancy is difficulty in initiating the urination and also maintaining the flow of the urination. This will be known as hesitancy. Because of this narrowing of the urethra, urinary bladder will be overfilled. So there will be incomplete emptying of the incomplete void, or it will not be empty enough whenever a person tries to pass the urine. There will be urgency or urge incontinence, because people urge incontinence because persons will not be able to get rid of the urine. So that urine collects in the urinary bladder, and whenever it's overfilled, a person will have the urge, and even before going to the washroom, there will be some urine which has dribbled out of the urethra, which we call the urinary incontinence. So feeling of incomplete urine voiding, having hesitancy, urge incontinence, and these people also have thin urinary stream. Urinary stream will be thin, and also there will be intermittent stream. They will not be able to maintain the flow of the urine. So the stream which is made while someone is passing the urine will be intermittent. These are known as the obstructive symptoms. Then there are irritative symptoms. Why irritative? Because of this problem. Irritative symptoms of the BPH. There may be urge to pass urine, or urine keeps on coming out even during the night time, which we call the nocturia. At the start of the urination, there can be hematuria, opening hematuria. Opening hematuria. There may be blood in the urine, and sometimes these people have dysuria or painful urination. So these are the irritative symptoms of the benign prostatic hyperplasia, and they also have increased frequency because of the same irritation and overfilling of the urinary bladder. So this is the clinical. These are the clinical features with which these patients who are suffering from the benign prostatic hyperplasia they present. How to diagnose it? After having the history of the patient and physically examining the patient, we can do one very important test which we call the digital rectal examination, DRE. So DRE, in order to diagnose the patient, we do the digital rectal examination, because this prostate is located right in front of the rectum. So the doctor, after lubricating the finger, will insert the finger in the anal opening and will try to reach on top of the prostate gland. If there is no BPH, the examining doctor will be able to go on top of the prostate. But whenever there is hyperplasia of the prostate, it will not be possible for the examining person to go on the top of the prostate, and that way a person can know that this man is suffering from the benign prostatic hyperplasia. Because there is also a risk that a person can have prostate cancer at the same time, or otherwise even in a separate situation a person rather than having BPH may be having prostate cancer. So whenever we do the digital rectal examination, then we also try to feel the surface of the prostate. If the surface of the prostate is smooth, then it's a probable case of BPH. But if it is glandular or irregular, then on the digital rectal examination, we may have a sense of prostate not only being enlarged, but also being cancerous in its cause of enlargement can be the cancer of the prostate. So digital rectal examination is one thing. Then sometime we also get prostate specific antigen, PSA. This is prostate specific antigen. Remember one thing, BPH is not a cause of the cancer, but cancer of the prostate can be present at the same time along with BPH. So normally BPH patients do have a little bit higher PSA, but it is not that much raised. Why we get PSA in the BPH? Because we want to rule out the cancer of the prostate. And if the clinical situation and finding of the digital rectal examination, they go in favor of the cancer of the prostate or CA prostate, then we need to have repeated level of the prostate specific antigen. So what else we can get in to diagnose these patients? We need to have ultrasonography, which we call KUB, kidney ureter bladder. We get it with the full bladder, and then we ask the patient to pass urine and we repeat the ultrasound. If the post-void urine is more or less same as it was pre-void, then there are chances that this person is having enlargement of the prostate, which is sort of causing the narrowing of the urethra. So ultrasound is very important. What else we can have? Urine analysis, because we want to rule out if there is any urinary infection or hematuria, and if we suspect infection, then we can have urine culture and sensitivity reporting to find out the causative agent and also to know about the sensitivity against antibiotics. Other than this, we can also have serum electrolytes, because these people may have had affected the kidneys in the form of the obstruction, which we call the obstructive uropathy, and if the tubular portion of the kidney is affected, then electrolytes may be deranged. And lastly, we can also get RFT, renal function test, or we can get the creatinine, because if there is obstructive uropathy, then this will damage the function of the kidney, and that we can assess with the help of having the creatinine level. So this is very important to rule out stone in the kidney with the help of ultrasound, kidney, ureter and bladder. We need to rule out the infection with the help of urine analysis and urine culture sensitivity. We need to rule out obstructive uropathy with help of serum electrolyte and creatinine levels. So this is how we diagnose the patient. Once we have diagnosed the patient, how to treat these patients. So let's talk about the treatment. How we are to treat these patients? We cannot prevent the happening of the BPH or occurrence of the BPH, but we can ask the patient to modify his life in a way that the symptoms can be, the severity of the symptom can be decreased. What are those things? Number one, avoid decongestants and antihistamines, because they can aggravate the symptoms of the benign prostatic hyperplasia. So you need to ask them not to take too much decongestant medications, and also to avoid having too much antihistamine. Avoid caffeine and alcohol. Caffeine caffeine is present in coffee, and also to avoid alcohol. Ask the patient not to drink fluid, at least 2 hours before going to bed. And lastly, you will educate the patient to practice double voiding. How the patient can do the double voiding? When a person goes to the washroom to pass urine, you will advise them not to immediately come out, but to stay there for a while, and they may have a second urge for passing the urine. This way they can empty their bladder more than a single voiding. So these are some lifestyle modification which can help to lessen the severity of the symptoms of the benign prostatic hyperplasia. What are the medications which we advise to these patients whenever they are suffering from the BPH? So the medications are alpha blockers. We give them alpha blockers. What will be the use of alpha blocker? When we advise them alpha blocker, then the tonicity or contraction of the bladder neck, which is just underneath the bladder and at the start of the urethra, and the muscles of the prostate, their contractions will be decreased, and that will help relieve the obstruction of the urethra. So alpha blockers are advised. And what are those alpha blockers? These are tamsulosin and terazosin. So these are very famous alpha blockers. What else we can advise them? We can advise them finasteride. What is finasteride? It is alpha reductase inhibitor. Because what happens in men, that testosterone is converted, let me write it here, testosterone is converted into dihydrotestosterone, and with the help of alpha reductase, and that this dihydrotestosterone, it will cause the increase in the size and increase in the number of the muscles of the prostate. So we break down this phenomena with the help of alpha reductase inhibitors like finasteride. So this can be given to reduce the size of the prostate. If the medical management, and in spite of having some lifestyle modification, there is no benefit, then we will advise patient to go for the surgery. What are the surgical options? Surgical option are, one is TURP, transurethral resection of prostate. Transurethral resection of prostate, or TURP. What is this? In TURP, the urologist, because they are the one who are to deal with these things surgically, the urologist will pass a cystoscope. Cysto mean urinary bladder and scope mean to visualize it. Will pass a cystoscope through the urethra, and at this level he or she will make a cut to reduce remove the growth of the prostate, to remove a portion of the prostate so that the pressure on the urethra can be relieved. This process is known as TURP because we are going through the urethra, so this is transurethral. There is a resection of the part of the prostate. If a urologist doesn't prefer TURP, then another option is to go for the suprapubic prostatectomy. Suprapubic, we go on the tectomy. We go through the suprapubic portion of the body, which is just above the pubic area are in the lower part of the abdomen. We make an incision, approach the prostate from above and remove a part of the prostate to relieve pressure on the urethra. Because we go through the suprapubic approach and we remove a portion of the prostate and throw it away. That is why we call it suprapubic prostatectomy. So let's review. BPH or benign prostatic hyperplasia is growth of the prostate which is not cancerous. It happens in all those men who are more than 50 years of age. Most of them will have it, but this is a part of the normal aging process. Clinical features are that there are some obstructive symptoms and some irritative symptoms. Obstructive are the hesitancy, incomplete voiding, urge incontinence, thin urinary stream and intermittent urinary stream. Irritative symptoms are nocturia, dysuria, opening hematuria and increased frequency. How we diagnose it? We do after having the thorough clinical, having the clinical scenario or history. We do the digital rectal examination, and then we may have some certain findings on DRE. We may go for the prostate specific antigen to rule out cancerous condition. We may have ultrasonography not only to assess the size of the tumor, size of the prostate, but also to know some about pre-void and post-void urine. Then we can go, that will also help us to know if there is a stone in the urinary system or not. Urine analysis and culture sensitivity are done to rule out the infections. Electrolyte and RFT are done to rule out the obstructive uropathy. Once we have done all this, we then move towards the treatment. One is the lifestyle modification, then comes the alpha blockers and finasteride. They can be given in combination. And lastly, if everything fails and there are repeated infections and obstructive uropathy, then we go for the surgical approaches, which can either be transurethral resection of the prostate or it can be suprapubic prostatectomy. So friends, this is a brief review of the benign prostatic hyperplasia, and I hope you would have had some idea about it, and thank you so much for watching this video.